Thank you, Wendy. And here with us now is Todd Flannery, a retired Navy captain and a former Navy helicopter pilot. Todd, welcome to you. I want to ask, with your experience and your background serving in the military, I wonder what goes through your mind when you see and hear the events that unfolded on the Potomac.
Yeah, thanks, John, and thanks for having me here. Last night when I heard of the news, it was heartbreaking. Especially when I heard it was a mid-air collision. It didn't make a lot of sense to me that something like that could occur or would occur, especially between a helicopter and a regional jet, as was the case last night. Especially for as often as I see helicopters flying around, and my experience as a helicopter pilot flying in and around areas that have naval bases or bases close to commercial airports.
I know DCA has one of the busiest runways. I believe it's actually 3 runways, and the longest intersects with the 2 shorter ones, which is runway 33 that the regional airliner was coming down. It's also known to be one of the more complex airspaces to navigate because of the federal airspace. What more can you tell us about what makes Washington Reagan National Airport so unique?
I think, as you mentioned, it's just the density of the air traffic that's here and the restrictions that exist for the airplanes with the national monuments, the Pentagon, the White House, everything that's there in our area. So just the required timeliness, communication, and adherence to procedures make it a really difficult area to, I shouldn't say difficult, just a very challenging area to operate, where you always have to be paying attention to radio calls and be ready to maneuver your aircraft as directed by air traffic control.
Earlier today, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said that both the helicopter and the commercial jetliner were operating in standard flight patterns. The question for me is, to avoid another incident like this and to boost public confidence, does that mean that the standards need to be changed or at least re-examined?
I don't think that the investigation will determine a lot of those answers to your questions. Those are good questions to ask too. From my experience, I don't think that the standards have to change. They're there to space air traffic control and to give a sense of, not a sense, but to be able to have consistency and predictability in how aircraft are handled and maneuvered around the airspace. You mentioned runway 33, so they were landing to the north last night, so all of the aircraft would be vectored to the south to come up to the north along a standard path there. So being able to continue with that, I don't think that will change. The interaction potentially between helicopter traffic and commercial traffic, that potentially could change, but the investigations that are ongoing, and I thought that Secretary Duffy did a really nice job this morning explaining his priorities and what is owed to the American people following something like this.
We're short on time, but I want to ask you real quickly your final thoughts and the big takeaway, and then maybe as a second follow-up for people who are traveling, asking, is it safe to board a flight?
I'll answer the last question first. And I think the answer is yes. This, as you mentioned in your opening, this is the first major airline accident in the last 15 years. And I think the investigation will, as I mentioned, will get down to the root causes of this. So I believe that air traffic is still the best way and the safest way to travel.
All right, Todd Flannery, thank you so much for lending your time and your expertise with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
John, you're welcome. Very good.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Well, President